What's up, Spartacus here, back for another Hearthstone Top 10s. Today I'm going to be doing the top 10 best Epic cards in Arena. Now, Epic is a really interesting class in Arena because Epic cards tend to be cards that you build decks around. They tend to have a lot of high synergy, which means that in Arena they're actually quite poor, because, or at least a lot of them are, because Arena you can't count on synergy in Arena. So these cards tend to sometimes not be that great. Like, you could get 3 picks of epics that are all bad, and you have to just decide which one is the least good. And this actually happens, or the most good, because this happens a lot of the time. Epics just tend to need more synergy than other cards, and therefore suffer. But there are some standouts, and these are the top 10 for the epics, and some of which are actually insanely powerful, obviously. So, number 10. Number 10 is the Earth Elemental, the big boy of the Shaman class, the 7/8 Taunter that costs 5 mana with Overload 3. So Earth Elemental is basically like Ironbark Protector, but for the Shaman class, except that you can get it out much earlier. And getting this card out of the field early, if they don't have any hard removal, then you are way ahead, because they're going to have to trade a lot of their minions into it in order to get rid of it. The problem with this card is, if they do have hard removal, like they hex it or they polymorph it or get rid of it immediately, BGH it, then you're pretty far behind, because then you're overloaded for 3 on the next turn. Maybe Lava Shock will change this. You'll have a Lava Shock and then you'll be able to free up that 3 mana. But for now, if this card does get removed, it is really poor. So it's kind of a risky card. Sometimes it can be very good, and sometimes it can be very bad. But the times it is good, it is excellent, very good, over the top, and that's why it's on this list of number 10. Number 9 is the Blood Knight. Blood Knight has that battle cry that Divine Shields off other minions, and it gains 3/3 for each one. So this card is so powerful these days because there are 3 new minions that are really popular in Arena since GVG that have Divine Shields. So these minions I'm talking about are the Shielded Minibot, the Annoyotron, and the Force Tank Max. So Force Tank Max, if you suck that one off, it's a little less consequential in a lot of situations because it's already late game. But in the early game, taking a shield from a Minibot or a Annoyotron is huge, especially if it's your opponent's. It's still worth it to take your own shield off, but if it's your opponent's, you can get a turn 3 6/6 and they just have a 2/2 out. That is a huge swing, and that can sometimes just win you the game. So Blood Knight has the potential to win you the game, and if it doesn't, then it's a 3 mana 3/3, and you can live with that. So, very powerful card. Number 8 is Doomhammer. Doomhammer has the ability to control the board pretty well on its own. You can just pick off any little thing that your opponent plays with this card, which is why it's so powerful. The problem with Doomhammer is that you're going to take a lot of face damage, and there are no specific cards other than Vitality Totem in Shaman that heal. So if you do have a Doomhammer, I would look out for an anti-heal bot and try to pick that up. But in general, this card is 5 mana, I guess 7 mana with the Overload, for 14 damage, which is a great deal. Plus, if you have Rock Biters, you can throw that on, you can get a lot of burst out of this card, you can use it the way you want to use it, and it's just insanely powerful in a lot of situations. But, like other Overload cards, if this does get oozed immediately, for example, then that's a little worrisome, because then your next turn you're not going to be able to put out as much as your opponent will, and you might fall behind. So this does have a significant drawback in that case, but for the most part, it's just really good at controlling the board. It can trade, 4 or 5 for 1 in this card, sometimes even more, depending on how you use it. And it's so versatile, it's just a great card. Number 7 is Light Bomb. Light Bomb makes every minion deal its attack, or its damage to itself equal to its attack. So basically one of the best board clears in the game. Now this card is terrible if you're ahead, and that's why when you're drafting it, you try to not take it in priest decks that have a low curve, that are more aggressive, that need the board to win. Because if you fall behind with that kind of priest deck, you're probably going to lose anyway, so it's not that big a deal. But if you're playing more of a control priest, this is a fantastic card. If you do fall behind by a lot, people don't play around epics, and that's sometimes why they're so good as well, because no one's playing around Light Bombs, so they could play like a couple 8/8s and then you can just take them out with one card. You can also use this card to remove like a big guy sometimes if you just don't have any other way to handle it. You know, like they play like a giant and you have nothing else to handle it and you're close to lethal, you can play Light Bomb. So it's versatile in that way, but it is bad when you're ahead, which is why it's not up a little bit higher on this list. But in general, very powerful card, and if you use it at the right time, can single-handedly swing games and have you win games. Next up, number 6 is the Sea Giant. Sea Giant is the only giant on this list. The other two giants I consider pretty bad in Arena, but the Sea Giant is an exception. The first thing to be said about the Sea Giant is that it costs 10 mana, so no matter what, when you're in the late game and you're top decking, you're going to be able to play this card, unlike with some other cards, or the other giants. So that's great in and of itself. Also, this card, because Arena is a minion trading, kind of board-centric game, there's a lot of times during games where there's a lot of minions on board. So if there's 6 minions on board, this becomes a 4-drop, which is insane. 4/8/8. And what was originally a contested kind of even board has quickly become yours because you're able to play such a dominating threat. That's why Sea Giant is so powerful in Arena. Number 5 is the Cabal Shadow Priest, the priest card that steals a minion with 2 or less attack. So the way to look at this card is not only are you're destroying a small minion of theirs, which is good in and of itself. If this card was, 6 mana, 4/5, deal 3 damage to like a 2/3, for example, that would be great. I mean, think about like a Fire Elemental. It's a 6 mana, 6/5 that deals 3 damage, and that's one of the most powerful cards in the entire game. But this card actually takes it, so not only do you kill theirs, essentially, but you take it for yourself, so you build up your board while shrinking theirs, which is a huge tempo swing. This card is all about tempo, and the body, the 4/5, is pretty good anyway. 4/5s are tough to deal with, so sometimes you can even get really great deals with this. If you have a Shrinkmeister, which is a very popular card now in Arena, you can use that in combination with this to take some really powerful stuff. Or you can even take like an Oasis Snapjaw or a Gurabashi Berserker. There are a lot of really powerful cards that you can steal with this, and it's just a great tempo play. It's a great way to come back or solidify your board position. Number 4. Number 4 is the Piloted Sky Golem. Piloted Sky Golem is a hell of a card. You can say that the 4-drop is basically, usually like on average, they're like 4/3 or 3/4 or like 3.5 or in 4, kind of around there. 4/4 is a little generous, but I can say that for example's sake. So basically this is a 6 mana 10/8. What more do you need to know? And it's split up, which makes it even stickier. So if they remove it once, they have to deal with what pops out of it. It's basically the neutral high main. A little less good because the health's a little lower and the unpredictability about what's going to pop out. But you can get a Pit Lord out of here. Now you can also get a Summoning Portal, but you can get everything in between, and in Arena it's just really tough to deal with minions this sticky. Top 3. Number 3. Number 3 is Brawl. Brawl is a great card. Just destroys all minions except for one. So again, because it's an epic, people don't play around it. People don't play around board clears when they're going up against warriors usually. So if you drop a Brawl on them, they're going to be surprised, and they probably overcommitted. Not only that, but it costs 5 mana, so unlike other big board clears, it's cheaper. So then you can play like a 5-drop on top of that, like this plus a Stranglethorn Tiger, which makes it even more powerful. In general, board clears are just really powerful in Arena, and this is one of the best if you're behind, so that's why it's up here. Okay, number 2. Number 2 is another warrior card, the Gorehowl. 7 mana, 7/1 that loses a 1 attack if you attack a minion instead of the durability. So basically this card can trade 7 for 1. It is insanely powerful. Now, you do take a lot of face damage, but with Warrior you have armor, so it's not as big a deal as, let's say, a Doomhammer, which I mentioned earlier. So, not only that, but the 7 attack to start can take out something really big. Like, you can kill a War Golem with this, then you can kill a Temple Enforcer, then you can kill a Yeti, then an Ogre Magi, then a Snow Chugger, then you're frozen for a turn, and then you can kill Crazed Alchemist, and then a dude. That's a lot for one card. Pretty sweet. So, that's why it's up here. So much value packed into one card. And usually, unless you have too many weapons, I'd highly recommend taking it when you see it. Finally, number 1, the best epic in Arena, and one of the best epics in the game, is the Ancient of Lore. Ancient of Lore, the staple of the Druid class, 7 mana, 5/5. You can either draw 2 cards or restore 5 health. This card is just insanely good. It's not right to think about this card as like a 4 mana 5/5 plus a 3 mana Arcane Intellect, because it's better than that. It's all packed into one card, which means that you don't lose like card advantage from playing this card. Drawing those 2 cards with getting a 5/5 body out on the board is absolutely insane. Now, yes, it is a little bit slow. So if you're already getting run over, that's an issue. But Druid class in Arena does have a lot of taunts, so sometimes you can manage to stabilize, and then you play this, you replenish your health, or if you're really desperate, you can restore 5 health to yourself, or let's just say they're almost killed an Ironbark Protector that you have, you can restore 5 health to that. It's so versatile and so powerful, and it's the snap pick in Arena in Druid when you see it. Just take it and be extremely happy and run away. Not only that, but in Arena you can also ramp up, so you can ramp up to 7. I mean, it really says something that in Constructed, this is a 7-drop, and there's 2 of them in every single Druid deck pretty well. It's just that powerful. It's a card that'll never go away, I predict, till the end of Hearthstone time. It'll always be relevant, always be insanely powerful, and it is the best epic in Arena. So, what do you think of that list? Do you agree, disagree? Anything I missed, perhaps? There were some that I did want to put on the list, but just couldn't quite fit. So let me know what you think, and I'll be back tomorrow for the top 10 legendaries in Arena. I will see you then.